So how I would pursue financial independence if I was starting today. A few things would be different. Most of it would probably remain fairly similar. But all right, let's go. So knowing what I know today, I think one big change would be I would not pursue financial independence faster than what I did. Right. So I don't think like knowing about financial independence earlier in my life, I don't think would have been a good idea for me to try to reach even earlier. So the pace at which we did it feels like it's the maximum pace at which we were also very happy doing it. And trying to go faster, I think would have cost us happiness a little bit on the way. And I say this because of my experience with this, close to burnout situation, but also because I believe that our youth, like my youth and everyone's youth really, it makes sense to spend a lot of time not caring so much about money and just enjoying life. And I think I certainly don't want people in their 20s being so bogged down about money and investing that they stop going out and exploring and traveling and connecting with people and falling in love and doing crazy shit. Like, honestly, life is way more than just money. And to me, it's fine to start worrying about this later. A lot of people say, start early, start investing when you're in your teens and, start investing for your kids. Like, yeah, you can. Just don't spend too much time, like, in this world trying to obsess about money. I certainly don't. I would rather spend time figuring out ways of doing entrepreneurship and getting better at my job. Yes. But like, don't make this your sole focus of your 20s. That's certainly something I wouldn't do. So the way I did it, kind of like, it was fairly early. It just happened to me. I didn't choose. I was like, oh, I'm going to get obsessed about financial independence at 28. No, I was 28. I was living and breathing financial independence and index investing. Today, 12 years later, I still enjoy it. So I guess I quite like it. So I would not pursue financial independence faster than I did. And I would, now that I know what I know, I would invest more in personal development and coaching. I think I would want to learn more about business, entrepreneurship, communication, relationships. And that is because it's also an investment in your personal happiness and fulfillment. And it's something that I tend to be, naturally frugal, right? So I've always been smart in ways that I can get stuff for free or cheap. But there's also certain things that I realized today that I'm actually doing is like I'm paying more now to get access to knowledge, support, accountability, and results that before I would rather save the money. So I think my mindset around this has shifted, partly because I am financially independent, partly because I have maybe slightly more than I actually need in the end, thanks to good planning and good markets. And I think that if I could take my understanding of all this today and go back 10 years, I think I would be okay delaying my financial independence to do things like this, like to actually pay, not necessarily pay, but spend time and, if needed, money to develop more competencies and skills. And like that's, business stuff, like business and entrepreneurship, but also just life, communication, relationships. I have kids now, I have a wife, I have a family, and like communication relationships is such a crucial part of life. It's insane. And I think there's way more we can learn about this. And I want, and I wish I had learned earlier, right? I'm not bad at all this. I want to learn now. And I wish I wanted to learn earlier too. Anyway, I was busy with financial independence, so I couldn't learn everything. And then business and entrepreneurship are things that I've discovered way after financial independence and that I value today. And that back then I was like, entrepreneurship? Nah, not for me. Forget it. Although, I thought my ego was big enough that I thought I could do it, but I never considered doing it really. And so, yeah, I would invest more in developing character, skills, and competences. So it's a bit different. So I think knowing what I know today, I probably would then spend more on things that would build character, skills, and competences and delay financial independence by a little bit. And I'm saying a little bit because I still value freedom. So, but I value those things more than expensive stuff and ego-driven purchases and all that stuff. And I value them at a level today that I might have been willing to trade a little bit of my freedom for it. But not much. Anyway, digressing, but it's because freedom is really, really, like, it's just really, really valuable. Yeah, it's insane. So anyway, for those of you who are completely new to financial independence, and I've seen some questions for people who are quite new to this. This is a simple path to financial independence. So you have work income, you have your expenses. The first thing you do is you work on your expenses because it's the easiest. Usually, all you have to do, and we'll talk about this later, is reduce your expenses and basically save a bit more. Then you save for emergencies, you make sure you have enough in case something bad happens that was not covered by a bunch of Social Security and insurances. And even then, you want to have a cushion to feel good in case something happens. And then you work on increasing income and on investing efficiently. And I think you can start investing before you figure out to increase the income. Basically, the moment you start saving good, it's time to think about investing. And that's why I teach, because it's fairly similar to for most people in Belgium. So you can teach one thing that works for everyone. And the other topics are a bit more complicated because they're usually more specific to your own personal situation. Right? So anyway, invest efficiently. And as I was saying earlier, answering to the questions in the comments, you need to reach 25 times annual expenses using the rule of thumb. It's not a hard rule that kind of gives you an idea of that the size of portfolio to build to be able to live from in the future. And basically, at some point, your investments produce a certain income, the portfolio income, that's higher than your expenses and your financial independence. So that's the journey. Something on the 4% rule of thumb that is quite important for those of you who are new. If you look at your expenses today and you're looking like, oh, I'm spending 3,500 monthly, so blah, 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 let's do the math, boom, it becomes a very big number. And then you're like, oh, I'm saving this much. How long is it going to take for me to get this massive number? Oh my God, 150 years, I'm never going to get there. That's not how it works. That's why you need a bit of, there's a bit of math behind this. But mostly realize that the current level of spending, if you've never done anything to save money, it will likely go down, which means you don't need as much. And also the stock market will do a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of building your portfolio. So you don't have to save that. You need to invest so that it can grow to that amount. Anyway, digressing again, we talked about this earlier, right? Now, in this part, I'm supposed to speak about the things I would do differently. So assuming you value freedom like I did, and assuming that you can pursue financial independence, how would I save more if I had to do it better, if I had to do it again? And really, this is also to help you if you're kind of just at that level. Certainly clarify my values earlier. So if I had known about freedom earlier, maybe it would have changed a few things the way I spend it. For example, I probably would not have bought this sports car. Bear in mind, it was a second-hand sports car. I was very optimized in terms of buying it, but I didn't need a sports car. Even if all my colleagues had fancy consulting cars, I didn't have to, but I did because I didn't know I could instead buy freedom. If I knew, maybe I would have had slightly different decisions. Also, when it comes to accommodation, a bunch of other things. No, but anyway, digress again. So I think clarify my values, right? And basically, if you realize that something you value, you can spend on it and spend efficiently, right? But spend on the things that are important. And then the things that you don't value, you just remove them. Don't spend. That's it. Simple. Expense inventory. So if you've never looked at your expenses and you kind of have a vague idea of where you are, you have to do this once. To me, the best way to do this is to do two things. Take 1 year of past expenses, right? So from today, 1st of August, look at all expenses all the way until 1 year ago, 1st of August 2023. You take all your cards, bank accounts. You can't easily understand cash expenses, but on your bank account, it will show that you've been withdrawing. And just put all of this in some kind of spreadsheet and try to figure it out. Now, the problem is a lot of stuff, you don't know what category it goes in, but just do something. At least you'll know basic things like accommodation, taxes, transportation, the basics. You will know exactly what, but you have to figure out where the money goes. That's really important. And then do at least 1 month of ongoing expense tracking. Taking note on a paper, spreadsheet, budgeting app, it doesn't matter. Just do something and check where the money goes. With this, you'll have an understanding of first is how much you're spending in a year, including annual expenses, things that you have to pay only once a year, and quarterly and 6 months, whatever, no? But at least you're not going to miss something like that. And that gives you an idea of your average expense per month. And then you need to figure out over a month where the money is going. And so that's why you need to do 1 month of tracking. And I think it's better to do tracking ongoing rather than looking at the past month, because there's a lot of expenses on your credit card and bank account that you won't know what it was for because it just gives you some kind of random name, right? And it's hard to categorize. Whereas when you're actually spending it, you know exactly where to put it. Anyway, this is how I would do it. And I did this for a long time. So, and I would question every expense. Is it aligned with my values? Yes. I keep, I optimize. If it's not, remove. That's it. So delete or optimize. If it's aligned with my values, I keep, but I optimize for more value and maybe less expense. And if it's something I don't want and I don't need, then out, right? And actually, a lot of people do have. This is something. It's a new term that I've learned from someone on LinkedIn 6 months ago or so. Everyone speak about passive income, passive income, passive income. There's also passive expenses. And I think a lot of us do have passive expenses that we're paying and we don't, sometimes we forgot because it's on a credit card, it gets paid automatically, and that for something we're not using. And we have a lot of those. And then sometimes we spend on stuff that's just bigger than we need, too much capacity, right? Whether that's like a phone plan or internet or some of those things, and then a bunch of streaming services and all sorts of services that we use sometimes, and gym memberships that we use once a year on the 1st of January or something. Like there's a lot of those expenses. So find them, delete them. Expense tracking magic, yes. Just tracking regularly will increase your savings rate. So this is my experience. As I was just tracking, I never put any limit on how much I was spending, but just tracking made me aware of where the money was going and basically consider and be conscious and spend more consciously and basically spend less or better, right? So very powerful expense tracking. Investing better, I wouldn't change that. So it would be index investing because it's evidence-based, right? It performs better than investment funds sold by banks, financial advisors, proven by academic research for more than 100 years of data. And it's something that people know since the 1950s, right? Index funds exist in 1975, almost 50 years. It's not new. It's just that the industry is incentivized to sell you stuff that makes them money, not you. Anyway, those of you who know me, you know that I get angry at the stuff. But basically, evidence-based shows index investing performs better long-term for the people like you and me. So it's efficient, 10 times cheaper and more tax efficient than funds sold by banks and financial advisors. And it's passive. It takes very little time monthly once it's in place. So it's optimized for you to spend your time on the things that matter more to you, which is what I like to do, which is being free, right? So financial balance is really effective. How to build wealth on autopilot. So yes, part of what I teach is how to implement index investing. And so here's kind of a high-level view of the steps to take. So obviously you have to save money. We talked about how to reduce expenses, but what's important also is to save it. And I think one way of ensuring you're saving is to make an automatic monthly transfer to your savings account or your investment account, right? But if you can set this up and pay yourself first, every time you get paid from your salary or any kind of income you have, and it goes to your investment account, your savings account, if it's automated, then it will happen. And if there's one thing that you can do today to benefit from this conversation is if you don't have one of those and you have some kind of recurring income, a salary, for example, then do this. Set it up, put 100 euros if you don't know how much you can save and increase it later, right? But do this and come back later and thank me. No, you'll thank yourself later. Automatic monthly transfer. Then you learn the basics of evidence-based passive investing, as I just discussed earlier. You develop your personal investment plan. So it's like, what is the way you're going to invest based on your personal situations and preferences? So it's not what I shared earlier. It's like what works for you. And then you implement it and you automate it. So you try to automate as much as possible so that it takes very little time and effort to do, and then you enjoy. Yeah, because the whole point of this is to live a good life. And so that's why this investment approach is so powerful, right? If you're interested in learning more, there's the beginner's guide. It's available for free on the website, firebelgium.com/guide. And if you want, you can take a snapshot of this here, QR code that sends you to the link, you can download it. And it gives you the introduction of how to get started with a bit of my story in there, different from what I shared today, but anyway. And then there's a free workshop where I teach how to build wealth on autopilot, evidence-based investing, optimize survival taxes, investing in the stock market without paying high fees to bank and advisors, taking necessary risk and spending all day on aligned markets. Anyway, I spent a lot of time creating this title, so I have to tell you the whole thing. But again, it's a free resource where I'm explaining how to start investing and why it's so powerful and what are the next steps once you've gone through that, right? And then how I can help you. Because in this workshop, I also explain how I and my team can support you if you need practical support, right? The information, the knowledge is out there, but actually doing it sometimes requires support, and that's what we support. That's what we provide to help you get it done. fast without the mistakes. All right. So I would invest. If it was something that I mentioned earlier is like I wouldn't start investing in stock market early in life or in my career, especially if limited savings. But certainly I would invest time and money in development of skills and competences, and later only once personal development and growth is going, then I would go into index funds, which is what I mentioned earlier. Earning more. All right. So this is something that's changed because I've learned a lot more about business since I quit my job. It's quite interesting. I was earning already back then. It's just different. So general rule, if you're looking to earn more, this section here, the next, 20 minutes, basically my current perspective on how to make money, right? It's kind of a summary of like a lot of stuff that I've learned from a lot of different sources and also from my personal experience. And I'll speak about my personal experience, but it's meant to give you a framework to think about where you are today and how you are making money and maybe what else you could do, right? So this is not meant to say, this is the one way everybody should do. That's not how I'm going to do it. This is not meant to be, here's how you get rich quick. No, because all of this is extremely hard. It's just hard work, right? But I want you to listen to what I'm going to share here and think about, how can I apply this to my situation? Is there, in my personal situation and like with my constraints, are there options where what Sebastian is saying, could be applied? But also, I like to think about those constraints and be like, are these real constraints or are these limiting beliefs? I'm not the guru. I'm not one of those guys who are going to remove your limiting beliefs or whatever. But you will see that there's one slide that says, be open-minded, and you'll see why. All right, let's go. My general rule now, to understand this better than I used to, and it sounds simple, but for most of my career, I wasn't thinking it this way. Anyway, develop the skills to provide the highest value that is high in demand and low in supply. Like as if I was an economist, but really this is how it works. Now, I didn't say get the job that is highest in demand and low in supply. I said develop the skills, because one thing I've learned now is that learning is probably the highest valuable skills, the most valuable skills. So developing the skills should be, I would say, the priority when it comes to working or earning more or whatever. Developing skills, but also the right kind of skills. And the skills too then provide the highest value. Solving problems, fixing things that people are willing to pay money for and that other people can't fix themselves. Solving problems, big, small, better big, right? Problems that are painful, problems that hurt, problems that are important, certainly provide the highest value. That's, anyway, all of this is kind of fluffy, no? But ideally you can think of like, what's in my current career, who are the people who are providing the most value? What can I do to be able to provide that kind of value, right? Because typically those will be the people who also hire in most demand, there's fewer of them, and they get better pay. And sometimes it just comes with experience, but usually it's really more what they're able to do, because experience isn't necessarily just being older. There's a lot of people who are just older without being able to have much better output or value, right? Anyway, just digressing a bit again. High in demand, so people are looking for people who can solve this problem, and low in supply. It's not easy to find someone who can actually do it well or in that specific way, right? Or with that level of quality. Anyway, this kind of applies to everything. That's why it's a general rule. You can apply it everywhere. It's very vague. So hopefully now in the next few slides, I'll try to clarify. Now I said be open-minded about, because what happened to me is just that I became even more open-minded than I already was when I said, I'm going to go to Dubai. If you knew the Sebastian that was 21, 22 years old, I had long hair. I was full into sustainability, right? I didn't think money was important, apart from, oh, it just gets me, I just pay for the stuff I need to pay for. I didn't really believe in capital markets and investing and all that stuff. I didn't know anything, right? And honestly, I wasn't that excited about going to Middle East, a Muslim country, right? But I went for certain reasons one of the reasons was I want to be able to participate in this like lighthouse type project that is trying to build a zero emission, zero waste city, right? Which no one's doing in Europe. So want to go there and try it out. It's an internship, right? And I had already traveled before, right? But always in the West. I knew about the UK, the US. I had done my exchanges there, South America, because I'm partly from there and all this. But going east, where like cultures are very different, that was the first, right? And it's like, I just, before that, I would not have considered doing it. And then the idea came, the opportunity presented, and I went. And by doing that, I kind of forced myself to be even more open-minded because cultural shock was real, right? It was hard for a while until I found my group, like I found my marks basically in that new environment. Anyway, what I'm saying is I did something I didn't think I would have done naturally, right? It just happened. It's like a few things that came together and made me go there, right? So geography, yes, be open-minded about geography. Being somewhere else might allow you to earn more. Now, I'm not saying you should move just for money. I'm saying be happy. That's the main thing, right? Don't move for money. If Belgium is the right place because of friends, family, and all sorts of other things, then don't move, right? But just be open. But that's what I'm saying. If you are looking to make money, geography and be where you are plays a huge role, right? It's a lot easier to make money in a place where everyone is making money than making money in a place where nobody is making much money. That's just real, right? And Belgium is not exactly known for, the highest paid salaries. We are in OECD countries, I think one of the countries with the highest average net worth. So it looks like we do put money aside and build net worth quite well. But we also have the highest, tax on labor and all that. Anyway, the sector you're working in, there are some sectors where it's just easier to make more money than others, right? So be open-minded to that. I'm not saying follow the money only, be happy about what you're trying to do, but be open-minded. The role you have, be open-minded. Don't put limitations on yourself. I'm an engineer, I will never be able to, no. I'm someone who's studied, letters and philosophy or whatever, I will never be able to, no, don't block yourself, right? What I'm saying. Be open-minded about the role, employment status, right? I'm a freelance. I'm never going to be an employee. Well, there might be an opportunity. Don't close it. And I'm an employee. Being freelance is way too risky. Being an entrepreneur, way too risky. Forget it. Never again. Or never in my life. Well, who knows? Just be open-minded, right? Especially in families that are like everyone's an employee and getting a job and keeping a job is the most important thing. Be open-minded. The business model, right? If you are self-employed, the skill set you have, you can change that. Skill set, competences, these are things that can be learned. And because you've been given a label because of a diploma or whatever at 22, doesn't mean you're going to be that thing for the next 40 years. No. Like you're you and you change all the time. And so your skill set can change, competence can change. Entrepreneurship, some people are like, I'm never going to be an entrepreneur. Like that was me. And look at me today. I'm like, I love it. And I'm not like, it's different. I'm not an entrepreneur like in the grand sense of Silicon Valley entrepreneur making millions. And no, I don't even need the money. So I don't do it for the money really. But I love it. There's something I'm enjoying from just the process, right? So be open-minded and don't say that's not for me, of course. All right, here we go. I would say if I was to do this again, and if I was looking to make money and I hadn't had my journey, I would start by studying a topic that I'm passionate about, that has high earning potential. These are the two main things. And that followed the first general rule, no? It's like, get the skills that help me solve important problems and deliver high value, and the skills that are high in demand and low in supply, right? And that does not have to be going to university. Like university, it's part of this like main blueprint, but that's not where you get the best skill sets necessarily. It's just one of those. There's a lot of other options. You can learn online. Like there's excellent coding schools where you work, you study for a fraction of the time and you get, skills that pay a lot more than university degrees. And that is the reality of today. So be open-minded. Do stuff that other people find very hard to do and are willing to pay for. Yes. So I think that there is something unique about doing stuff that's hard. And for me, that was engineering and math, right? And science and technology, actually. I did a bit of all of this. But if it's not this and it's something else that's really hard, then it's good, right? and then find ways to create the best solution, create the best value. And then finally, I would say, learn to communicate, convince, and sell. It's not just about the hard skills. A lot of like how to make money is also the soft skills, right? And you need both ideally, but you can also do it with just one. Both work well together. One and being extremely good works well as well. So you don't have to have all of it, but certainly if you have one of them only, don't be afraid of also getting another one. Like, don't limit yourself. And if studies are long, for example, you go to university, then I would say don't wait for the end of it to get commercial experience. So that's something I would do differently probably. I was at uni and I think I was happy not working, but I didn't also have this idea that maybe working could help me then basically start better next or know more about the next stuff, right? There's so many things that are wrong about the current education system, but we make decisions about our entire careers technically without knowing anything about any of those jobs, right? And this is a bit of a problem. Anyway, another way of thinking about this is obviously the concept of Ikigai, which I've written about in my old blog, where you combine what the world needs, what you love to do, what you're good at, and what you can be paid for. A lot of people say, well, you just need to get all of these and you're okay. I say yes, but be intentional. To me, you start here. Oops, sorry. All of this together, Ikigai, a reason for being, is a Japanese concept. You've probably heard of it. What I say is be intentional about this and start there. Don't leave it to chance, but really figure out what the world needs. What are the biggest problems in the world? What are the parts of society that you can improve the most? Like think about those things first, I would say. Then become very good at solving those problems, like explore and develop rare and valuable skills that make the world better. Become so good they cannot ignore you. And to me, this is the order to do things, because then when you become a master at doing something useful that makes life better for everyone else, it's hard not to be happy. So to me, what you love doesn't necessarily come from, oh, I love it because I'm passionate about it from since I was born. No, it's more like you grow to love something where you became good and you're doing a good job and has high impact positively, right? So happiness comes from the combination of competence, autonomy, belonging, creativity, and positive impact. And then when you're good at doing something like this, money will follow. If you have rare, valuable skills and you're solving important problems, money will follow. Anyway, it's a bit my philosophical pitch here. To me, there's like three main career paths that I see that I could have taken, but I was barely aware of two of them. So the first one is go for a corporate job. And I'm saying big corporate job because in bigger corporations, there's just more resources to grow, learn, develop, and get paid. It's just as simple as that. And aim to climb and create value through large organizations, which is the path I took, right? And I didn't take it deliberately. It seemed to be the only path that was given to me and for the skills I had. No, this is not true, but that's what I believed at that point. And aim to create the best value solution, as we said earlier, communicate, convince, and sell. Because I was able to do that, I was able to grow, right? Communication, inspiration, leadership skills, being able to develop solutions, be able to sell solutions, and manage the implementation of those solutions. Like if you can create value at scale in those organizations, you won't be stagnating. It's just you're going to be developing. Right? Deliver and solve problems of management and clients. So it's not just do your job, is like take care of everyone that's kind of around you. So upper levels and clients. And develop your leadership skills, of course, pick corporate jobs, all this. Anyway, so this is the path I took, right? And as I said, I didn't really know about any other paths, but I do understand that there's at least two other paths, and there's probably way more, but there's at least two other paths that today I think I would have been interested in actually pursuing. One is joining a small startup, right? Joining a small startup to aim, or basically you will there learn about entrepreneurship because you'll be part of one. So if you don't necessarily have the startup idea or IP and the drive, but you can still join one, you're still gonna soak up so much experience, right? And there you aim to do the same, create the best value solution, communicate, convince, and sell, because that's how you're gonna grow within. That's how you're gonna learn. It's also the hard stuff to do, right? Usually this is the hardest stuff. You have to get out there, be outside the comfort zone, do things that's really difficult, but that's how you grow. That's how you get better. Deliver problems with management and clients, get equity if possible, and consider starting your own business. So I think one of the fast paths to financial independence that I've seen multiple people do in Belgium is having equity in a startup and then exit it. Either get sold or you just leave and so you sell your shares basically. And the people that I do a lot of one-on-one consulting with and coaching and who require my help on a one-on-one basis, a lot of them have gone through this path because it's a path where you create value fast and then the cash comes in one go. So it's kind of a difficult situation or scenario to be in. And certainly anyway, I help a lot of people with this, especially those who want to set themselves up for freedom and have to basically not have to worry about money anymore, right? That's and if I knew that this was an option, I think I might have been interested to do that. And finally, the third option is to go directly into entrepreneurship and starting fairly simply as a freelance. And again, focus on the same thing, create best value, communicate, convince, and sell. As a freelancer, basically, you are obliged to do that. Communicate, convince, and sell. Create the best value solution. And I think to me, as we talked about since the beginning in Earning More, it is about getting the skills to solve problems, the highest value. So this is really important. And then gradually you realize, okay, I need to find something that is high in demand and very few people can do and people are willing to pay for. So very painful problems. And so gradually you can explore, but starting as a freelancer basically puts you into that space where from the start you are used to looking for clients, solving problems, selling solutions, delivering, and so you learn entrepreneurship. As you can see, the way my perspective on all this has changed is that today I understand about entrepreneurship way more than I used to because I was raised in a family of employees, 2 teachers, like everyone around was just going for the regular blueprint of school, university, get a job, don't start a business, too risky, forget it, get a car, a house, get married, get kids, have a dog, whatever, all that stuff. No, have a dog is my favorite. It's a bit bloody, but it's my favorite because it's just stats. And then today I understand entrepreneurship and I realize that there's just way more to just life and creating value than just going to a job. And I am like my own kids, I want them to know more about entrepreneurship than being a good employee. I've changed completely on this. And I love it. It's fun. It's fun and it's rewarding and it's empowering and it's fulfilling. It's just, anyway. So for those of you who don't know about entrepreneurship or a bit scared of it, do it. Just learn. It's fun. And then at some point dive in because it's cool. My rules for work. So this is something that I've developed a bit later as well. Not when I was working, but basically I applied those without knowing. But basically, always do the best work you can. Simple, but it's like you have to put it somewhere. So do your best. Always be learning. And you learn more when you're doing something new and challenging. Basically, you don't want to be in a job when you're not learning. I mean, that's like clear cut because skills development is the number one thing you get from a job and that should be aiming for. Always be visible. You want the beneficiaries of your work and everyone that's around to know that you've done a good work. Don't overdo it, of course, like don't go bragging about everything, but be visible in your success and also in your failures and admitting them and learning from them, right? But be visible. Something I've learned basically from Jenny Bjorknoff from Freelancers in Belgium, how visibility was important when I was learning, like starting Fire Belgium, all that. And today I'm doing that. And I know that actually as an employee in my job, I was doing this unknowingly, not like I was just visible. I was present. I was giving my opinion. I was delivering high value results and I was sharing the lessons learned to help others. It's just being visible, reporting to management on a regular basis, giving good news, highlighting challenges, asking for help, delivering, just communicating, right? The opposite of trying to hide, hoping that they won't see that maybe I'm late or there was a mistake. No, the opposite, like be super transparent, a little bit too much, good Boy Scout sometimes, but like that helped me, right? And then make good money. That's the rule for work. If any of these are not there, don't stay, move. Like you need to be learning, you need to be visible, you need to make good money and do the best work you can. If you don't enjoy what you're doing, you have to move too. right? Now, if you're not learning, visible and making good money, then you have to move. The only time it's okay to not be learning for a while is when you're making really a lot of money, right? So there might be times where you get in a position where you're not really learning anymore because you're kind of in like, you found some kind of balance and it's a bit repetitive, but it's always the same thing. Then that would be okay because we're still part of this journey to financial independence. And I would say there's points where making money without really learning much is fine for a while, but I wouldn't want to do this for too long. And I'm saying this also because I have friends who got stuck in well-paid jobs, but they're bored and they're not learning. And they've lost the opportunity of learning. And they forgot how to learn. Like there's just no more development. And despite being wealthy, they don't have the competence, they don't have this aspect of mastery of their job. It's different. There's something that just doesn't work as nicely in terms of satisfaction. So it's not obviously, it's like I'm not teaching you anything new here. It's not just about the money, of course not. Learning is so important. And really it's actually, I mentioned this a bit earlier and it's in my next slide. Here we go. Autonomy, belonging, and competence. Like you need to have those at work to be happy, right? It's not just about making money. So autonomy, you want to be able to control what you work on, who you work with, more or less, a bit your time, be able to have some level of self-direction and independence. You don't want to micromanager, it's very hard to deal with. You want to belong. So it's like, it's nice, it's ABC, you know? You have some kind of sense of belonging, community, colleagues, but also working towards a higher purpose, a common goal, something that kind of gives you more meaning. And then competence is just development of skills and competence, which we talked about, mastery, accomplishment, all that stuff. You know, this is what makes you happy at work, based on a bunch of studies, of course, whatever. And then maybe something new here. This is more my latest discoveries, mostly through reading and listening to podcasts and experimenting. Use leverage to scale. So I'm just going to put them all here. I think big influence here is Alex Hormozi, for those of you who know, and Naval Ravikant, right? And I've added one more. So they talk about how you can leverage certain things to scale. And they talk about, hiring other people to use their skills and competences. They talk about software. They don't really say process IP and AI, but I've added those. Media, they talk about media and financial assets. So basically, when you can get to work with those things, you can leverage your own effort to basically have a much wider impact. Now, I also added own skills and competences because I believe there is leverage to scale here, right? If you learn the right kind of skills and competence, then you can scale as well. And simple things is like being the national #1 top expert in a specific field gives you massive leverage, right? And with massive leverage, you can scale. But then that leverage then allows you to access some of the other stuff. For example, being, the #1 expert in a specific thing that's so unique that you really don't have that many clients, but they all come to you because there's no other choice. And doing something so extraordinary that it gives you media attention, right? That's one way. Right? But also just creating media, being visible on social media, have a podcast, YouTube channel, all that stuff. That's a way to scale. This is something that I am using, right? I want to teach as many people as I can to have good money habits and invest in index funds and benefit from the simple, effective way of investing for the long term and be happy with money in life, like all that stuff. To me, media is a massive way of leveraging this. I'm writing for a newspaper now. I'm writing for the Brussels Times. It's amazing. So it's on top of my own media. Now I'm contributing to a media that's established and that can help me spread, basic financial concepts that are helpful. Right? Yes, I use sometimes. So right now, I started with the first 2 articles are strong titles, right? They draw people's attention. Both articles are #1 most read, like for the whole newspaper, because they're quite unique in the sense that they're shocking, right? But they're both there to teach common sense personal finance principles that are helpful for everybody. Anyway, so that's media. And you can learn to leverage other people's skills and competences when you're delegating, and that's within an organization that you're not hiring yourself, but you have colleagues and all this. You're managing their time, you're helping them grow. But also if you're an entrepreneur or you're in management position, you hire people and identifying the right skill set. Oh, this is a way to scale. And then you have processes, IP, software, AI, is like all the stuff that kind of you build once and then it gets used to do more on its own. That's also that, right? Software is very powerful. Being able to code, develop software is an immense super powerful skill, one that I don't have, right? But I have the power to develop processes, right, for my teammates to follow and be able to be more effective in the way they do work, right? AI is something that a lot of us can learn to use now without having to be able to code. And these are things that we can use to leverage, that we can leverage to scale. And financially, financial assets, that's when you are a financial manager, right? When you allocate assets, financial assets, and you invest for others, hedge funds, whatever. No, there's like when you work with other people's money, basically, which I don't want to do at all. at all. I don't want to go there. But that's another way of leveraging and scaling. And then there's something that I've known for a while that's called the ladders of wealth creation. This comes from Nathan Barry. You can find here the address, and it's ladders of wealth creation basically combines what we've talked about so far. Is quite nice. It talks about like 4 main levels, 4 ladders, right, which you can climb. And the ladder on the left doesn't go very high, and the more to the right you go, the higher you can get. But just going to the right is already quite positive. So time for money, hourly job, working for a company. So it's like, working for McDonald's or something, right? You're paid by the time you spend there. Working for a company on a salary. This is the regular employee, typical employee situation. And then there's like going self-employed, right? So you own your service business. So this is being a freelance, but being paid by the hour, freelance being paid by project, and freelance with a team doing service work. And then you do productized services. So you go from charging by project, you do fixed scope for a fixed price. It's a bit similar, but I think there are some differences. Just don't get them here. Selling consulting packages, recurring services provided by employees. So when you own the business and you have employees, and then recurring productized services. And here's an example: editing up to 4 videos for $1,000 per month. Recurring productized services. So it's like some kind of membership, subscription-based services, productized in a way. And then you have selling products, selling digital products, for example, ebooks, courses, downloadables, right? Financial, like Fire Belgium, the way I've built it so far is fueled really by the sale of online courses plus a certain number of like a certain format of coaching. And also basically I've discovered entrepreneurship, and then I discovered that I'm down here now. And I used to be a salary working for a company, and now I'm down here. And this took me years to develop, right? This online course. So it's a huge, it's a lot of work up front, but then it gets to a point where it's a product. So people can just come and buy it and get it. And it takes me very little to go and have to do something extra. So in ways of scaling, here I'm scaling with media and some software, right? Because most of it is automated. So this is like the current Fire Belgium is leveraging media and software to scale through the sale of digital products, right? And then you can sell products in existing ecosystems, for example, iPhone apps, WordPress plugins, all this, physical products and e-commerce, subscription software, launch with consulting services, software as a service, which is a huge niche in terms of developing businesses now and entrepreneurship. And a lot of entrepreneurs really are looking to do this. And then developing marketplace and social networks. It's very hard, of course, because this is like the level of Facebook, Uber, eBay, and all this, right? And so the more to the right you go on the ladders, like the higher the potential for wealth creation. And then the more you climb up the ladder, the higher potential for wealth creation, right? And so obviously you can do a lot of money from just doing an hourly job working for a company, but the potential is lower than if you get a salary for which you can get promotions and you can go all the way to being, very high paid CEO, right? But then that limits, like the wealth creation from this is limited compared to someone who owns a business that one day can be sold for millions, right? Even if the business is just here, right? Managing a team that does service work, if that can be sold at some point, wealth creation here it's completely different level. Right? And this happens the more you move to the right and the more you move up. All right, key lessons on earning more. Yes, here I've listed a few questions that I invite you to ask yourself. And that if I was in a place where I need to earn more, I would ask myself, right? Is this, whatever this is, job, career, studies, training, whatever, is this solving an important, painful problem? Making wealth is easier when you're solving an important and painful problem that people know is a problem. Like index investing is not so simple. So for example, like I'll give you my example. No, I teach index investing. So the entrepreneurial side of Fire Belgium, which is trying to make sales of this course, it's like the way you could see it as an entrepreneur, really is like helping people better manage their money and make a lot of money from just knowing how to invest. It's not an easy sell because most people don't know that they have the problem. Most people don't even know that index investing exists. They don't know that there is a way of making better investment than what the banks are offering. So it's not a problem that is known. It's not a problem that is painful in its own. It's only painful once people know about it, right? And even then, so I'm solving a problem. How important? That's debatable, right? Because I'm still helping rich people get richer in a way. And how painful? Like I know it's not necessarily painful until people have done the numbers and they have like learned a lot. So it's a long journey until people realize it's painful. So it's not like the current thing that I'm solving with Fire Belgium and teaching index investing isn't necessarily the path to the riches. No, it's not. And actually, I know a lot of people who teach this similarly to me in other countries, and they're not making a lot of money. And they're doing this full time. I'm not. I'm doing this a little bit in the evening. And they have huge teams and they're barely, making profit. So it's not easy, right? This is not an easy place to make money. What's the highest level at which I can have an impact? So thinking about the problem size, how big is the problem, right? How important is the problem? We talked about this earlier, but this is a different framework. Thinking about the scalability of solving the problem, right? Is this scalable? Like if I fix it once, can I then apply the solution to everybody else? And the tractability. The tractability is like how much time me spending on this will actually make progress in solving the problem. This is a framework that comes from effective altruism when we think about how to use our resources to make the biggest difference, to have the most positive impact, to do the most good. And it's basically looking at different opportunities using those three metrics to try to combine them and figure out like, this is the opportunity where I'm going to make the biggest difference in making the world a better place. And it has to be a large problem that is scalable in terms of rolling out the solution and is tractable, which means the more I spend time and money on this, the more I will find a solution. And it's like, for example, things like cancer research. There's a lot of money going there and there's very little progress. But if there was any progress, problem is huge and scalability is great, right? It's just that tractability has been the challenge. So is that the best place to donate in terms of trying to do the most good? It's debatable. I just took one example because it came to my head, but now it might be that now there's like good progress, right? So it's like it can be non-tractable for a long time and then all of a sudden we make progress. And I think there's recent news about good stuff about cancer anyway. But anyway, I'm digressing completely here, but think about this as a way to think about the options you have, right? And then is this, whatever it is, job, career, studies, training, high in demand and low in supply in terms of the new skills that you will get, the type of problems you're going to be able to solve. And how can I use more leverage to scale? We spoke about leverage. We spoke about the ladder of wealth. How can I use more leverage to scale? Right. So these are the questions I'm leaving you with. I think I have one more slide, but it's kind of it's the same slide as before. In summary, financial independence, you need an efficient engine, index investing. You need fuel to feed the engine, to put in the engine, to run the engine. That's your savings. And if you want to accelerate, you need higher income so you can save more. So that's the accelerator. But be careful because it can be hard. And I certainly don't want anyone to crash and burn like I was close to. I think that's not it. I've got more stuff to do, but this was what I was planning on sharing. And I have a few more things. So celebration. It's been 6 years that I left my job and now 4 that Fire Belgium exists. So I wanted to share with you how far we've come. We've done about actually 70s and it's less than that. We've done probably 80 or 90 meetups online and in real life. We have now a community of more than 9,000 members who are sharing knowledge and experience with each other, helping each other, advising each other, supporting each other. And we are able to do that because we have very strict gatekeeping and management. So I have team members, admins who are doing an amazing job at vetting everyone who applies to join the group and also managing comments and posts. So we don't want the quality to go down. We make sure basically there's a lot of stuff that gets deleted, a lot of users that don't get accepted, and a lot of users that abuse rules and get banned. You don't see this, it happens behind the curtains. But basically, we want this community to be the highest quality possible, and certainly spammers and people who are there for other reasons than learning and helping each other, they're not welcome. And we apply, we enforce our rules quite strictly. And I want to take this opportunity to thank you for being part of the community and for supporting everyone and helping other people, and basically helping me on my journey to help others. Because what I love to see is when people are helping each other and being like repeating stuff that I've taught them at some point. And I love it because then I don't have to do it anymore, and it's really nice. It shows that it's useful doing all this and doing it like digitally in a way that scales with media. It's quite useful. The Fire Bedroom Show, this is a podcast I launched 2 years ago. We have 22 episodes. On the YouTube channel, there's 50 videos on top of it, so there's 72 videos there with lots of content. The Fire Bedroom Show is something that I've really enjoyed doing it. It cost me quite a bit of money, which is financed by the course, of course. The gatekeeping is financed by the course. Organizing the meetups is all financed by the money that's made from selling the online course. The Fire Bedroom Show, the team is also paid by that, and I'll give you an update soon. And then we've helped 400 people start index investing via paid services. So that's the course and one-on-one coaching, which if you want to benefit from, you can always apply or join the program. So individual consultation, you can find them on the website, one-on-one. And then index investing, the program exists both in English and in Dutch. And the best way to access this is to watch the workshop, because in the workshop, we explain how this works. Now, most people don't know the Dutch version of the course exists, but it does, and it's available. So if you want it, just let us know. We're just not very good at marketing. It's work, and we don't like to do so much work. We just like to share and enjoy. Investing, so those programs are there if you're interested. And then where's the money going? Yes, which I was explaining earlier. So this is where the money goes more or less, from the income from the sales of the online course and the coaching and the support, basically teaching all these people and helping them invest in index funds very successfully. So there's a big chunk that goes to tax social contribution, in Belgium. A big chunk that goes to the Fire Belgium team. This does not include myself because I'm not paying myself. This goes to the team members. We have 5 team members. And then we have money that goes for hardwares and software services that we're using to run all this. And then 10% of profits go to charity. So I'm giving 10% of profit each year to charity. And the rest is reserved for reinvestment and to improve things or improve our service, run more meetups. It goes back into improving the podcast, improving the channel, improving the group, getting more support. We might, we would like to have someone help us with social media. So those reserves basically will be there to help get someone to help us with social media at some point. And for example, I've recently signed up for a very big program that helps me optimize the podcast and improve it. So the podcast is going to be rebranded. It will be a new name and we'll have more useful content. This is all in English. I am now a personal finance columnist with the Brussels Times. I've never thought I would write for a newspaper in my life before, but I'm actually excited about this. It's in English as well. There will be a podcast series with trackers. This is just it's in the plans. It's not done yet. It's not confirmed. We're going to do something in French with l'Echo. We're going to have in-person meetups in September and October, and we're going to be covering a bunch of topics in the coming months. These are the topics that I want to spend some time on coming the next weeks and months. We're going to speak about épargne pension, pensioensparen, right? Those plans for which we get a tax deduction that everybody has access to. And we're going to do a deep dive on how they work, if they're interesting, and what are the conditions for them to be interesting for us investors compared to index funds, right? It's a very complicated topic, but we're developing really good content. We have a really nice model, and I'm hoping to bring this to you soon. Then we're going to work on reviewing investing funds. So bank funds, people who have bank funds, hopefully we can develop content so that we can help you think about how to manage that. If you already are index investing, then how do you handle bank funds? We are looking at doing something on saving and budgeting. Not fully confirmed, but I'm hoping we can do something on that topic as well to help people, who need help save more, then certainly. And then investing as business owners is a topic that's we're going to develop further as well in the coming weeks and months. And for most of those, not all of this, I'm considering creating working groups so that people can work together to get results faster. And in some cases, even with a coach, someone who can help them move forward to solve those things and get to solutions and just get it done, right? Sometimes you read about something and just don't do much in your own personal finances, but we want to actually help people get to results. So that might come as well. What else? Yes. So this is what's coming. And I hope you enjoyed this presentation today. I hope you found it really useful. And I hope you will enjoy what's coming next, because we're spending a lot of time to develop this. And as I said, I'm not paying myself, but I'm enjoying the journey. I might pay myself one day, who knows? But that's not the goal of this, and I don't need it. So maybe, to be fair to my wife and family, maybe. But so we're investing to do all this in the coming weeks and months, and we hope you find this super useful. If there's other topics that you want us to address in the podcast, in meetups, let us know in the comments here. I'm here and the team is here to help you succeed with your personal finance, to take control of your finances, invest better so that you can live more and give more. This is my little tagline, which is going to change because we're rebranding the podcast. But in the meantime, that's my tagline. And I wanted to announce, for those who are here and who are going to watch this later, contest for testimonial. So what I am looking for today is people giving testimonial about the community, financial independence, FIRE Belgium specifically. And so what I'd like to do is invite you to win, to participate in the contest, to win a one-on-one consultation with me, right? So if you like this community, if you found it useful, if you found this presentation useful, if you like any of the podcasts we've done, if you like any of the meetups that you may have attended, if you like any of the answers that you've gotten to questions on the Facebook group, whether the question was from you or not, if you've learned anything from anything that we've done with FIRE Belgium, I would love for you to share a little bit of your experience in a 30 seconds video. So it's 30 seconds because it doesn't have to be very long. I just want you to say, this is what I learned. Thank you, whatever, no? But if you could just take your phone, I'm going to show you how to do it, by the way, because it's very simple. You take your phone, you go on video, and then you put it so that it's filming you. Can you see? Yeah. And so you can see yourself here. Anyway, and then you press record and you say, this is my experience with FIRE Belgium. The community is great. I learned a lot. This is what's changed my life, and I hope that other people can find it. That's it. And press stop and send it to me, right? If you need help with the questions, what was your problem or challenge before discovering FIRE Belgium? You can explain, I didn't know about investing. I was confused about the banks. Don't know about pension, whatever. How have FIRE Belgium and Sebastian helped you? I've learned this from FIRE Belgium. And what positive impact do you expect in your life? And would you recommend this community to others, your friends, family? And why would you recommend the community? Right, you record 30 seconds. You don't have to answer all those questions. Just answer one is kind of enough. Send it to hello@firebelgium.com before Sunday, 4th of August, 2024 at midnight. So in the next 3.5 days, 3 days and 2 hours, do that. Now, the best is if you do it right away, because you probably won't come back to it. So the moment you see this, if you're watching live, then do it right away. If you're watching the replay, do it right away. And the top 3 videos, I forgot I put 3 videos there. The top 3 videos will win a one-on-one consultation with me, which is normally I charge 200 euros for this. And I will be the one deciding which ones are the best testimonials. I will give those prices only if there's enough testimonials. Like if I get 2 testimonials, then maybe I'll still give the prices. But basically, this is valid only if there's enough submissions, right? And I would say like minimum 5. And since you're hundreds and hundreds of watching this, I'm hoping we get a few. And that's it, really. These are little testimonial and recommendations for the group, so that other people know that this is something that's valuable to you and that's helpful. Yeah. Awesome. I'd love to see your testimonials. Please take 30 seconds to do this. You don't have to worry about the quality of anything, because if there's anything to edit, we'll do it ourselves. But no, it's just to get your feedback. And then we might post them in different places. Yeah. Anyway, to share, the benefit of what we're doing here. Right. I think that's it for today. You see? Yes. Thank you. Take control of your money so you can live more and give more.